Hi, it's Dr. Elisha Van Dusen at New Hope Chiropractic. Today we're going to talk a little bit about histamine intolerance. Like many other conditions, histamine intolerance is only considered relatively rare because a lot of medical professionals are not recognizing the condition. At least 1% of the U.S. population suffers from histamine intolerance, and that's about 3.2 million people. And of this, 80% are middle-aged women. So what's a histamine, you may ask? Well, it's an organic compound made from nitrogen, and it's involved in your immune response. Your immune system also helps regulate physiological functions in the gut and acts as a neurotransmitter. And so it basically modulates the inflammatory response and controls it when you have inflammation in the body, which is a protective mechanism. And the official definition is disequilibrium of accumulated histamine and the capacity for histamine degradation. So basically, people who have this, patients with this, aren't developing a sensitivity to histamine. They simply have too much of it, an overabundance of it. So what does histamine do? Well, it's a neurotransmitter, chemical messenger, and passes from one neuron to another in the nervous system. And a component of stomach acid helps to break down food, and then an inflammatory response mechanism dilates blood vessels, which helps white blood cells to quickly reach and neutralize the invaders. And when histamine levels get too high, the end result for the patient is serious disruption to their quality of life and even death, hyperinflammatory response. And why do histamine levels rise? Well, two main enzymes in your body will degrade histamines and cause them to go down. One is thiamine oxidase. It's supposed to break down histamine that's ingested through food, but when it fails, that's when you get histamine intolerance. And then if you have continual failure of this enzyme, you have rising histamine levels, and then you start feeling bad. And this enzyme that degrades histamine is influenced by gastrointestinal disease, certain medications, over-the-counter meds, for example, certain foods that have high histamine levels. Some foods will actually block this enzyme. Other foods trigger the release of histamine within the body, even if they don't contain it. Also, if you have a lot of overgrowth of bacteria in the gut, that can produce histamine from undigested food. So what are some of the symptoms of this intolerance to histamine? You can have abdominal cramping, abnormal menstrual cycles, anxiety, breathing problems, conjunctivitis, that's pink eye, difficulty falling asleep, overstimulation, digestive problems, dizziness, vertigo, fatigue, flushing, headaches and migraines, acid reflux, hypertension, that's high blood pressure, hypotension, which is low blood pressure too, itching, nausea, vomiting, nasal congestion, sinus problems, sneezing, rapid heart rate, temperature, dysregulation, swelling of your tissues, inflammation, basically very similar to allergic reactions. So what can you do to reverse this? Well, you can do an elimination diet. All foods high in histamine basically have to be removed from your diet for a period of 1 to 3 months, and then look to see if your symptoms improve. And then you can gradually reintroduce them and keep a close eye on your condition. Also, you can raise the enzyme levels of DAO. This takes a daily supplement, for example. Again, the DAO is thiamine oxidase, and that's that enzyme that'll break down the histamine. So supplement this, get that up, so that'll be able to break down the histamine. Go on a low protein diet, because histamine is made from amino acids, and amino acids are found in proteins. So if you have foods that are high in protein and they're slower to digest, that'll help your histamine levels. Also, a low histamine diet. Get rid of protein-rich foods, but also get rid of foods that are high in histamine. So you want to decrease alcohol and other fermented drinks, citrus fruits, artificial coloring or preservatives, berries, chocolate, dried fruit, fermented dairy products like cheese and yogurt, pickles, sauerkraut, old meats that are processed, mushrooms, seafood, spinach, spices like curry powder, cayenne, chili, cloves, cinnamon, and nutmeg, tea, tomatoes, vinegar, and yeast. So cut down on those foods or eliminate them completely. What you can eat are fresh fish, eggs, olive oil, coconut oil, pure peanut butter, leafy herbs, meats and poultry, gluten-free rice and quinoa, fresh fruits and veggies, daily dairy substitutes, and herbal teas. Those are good too. And of course, remember to get your spine adjusted so you have a properly functioning nervous system, which will help you properly digest and metabolize your food. Check us out at newhopechiropractic.com for more information or to book an appointment, and have a very healthy day.